I'm going to give a talk about a project I was part of a few months ago. It was a podcast, but I think it has some value for the DevOps culture. But before starting, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I moved from Lisbon to Rio de Janeiro 2 years ago. I'm a DevOps engineer. I'm missing those meetups there in Lisbon. I have some hobbies, and one of them is or was podcasting. And why am I talking about building and hosting a podcast for free? Mainly how to use open source tools and how to automate this, and why does it? What does it have to do with DevOps? Mainly, I usually see DevOps on big companies, on talking about the culture and automating, and usually about people. But there are also a component of DevOps that I think that should be used on smaller projects, on personal projects, on everything else, and mainly for beginners that are starting to think about DevOps or starting to test some things on personal projects and whatnot. I believe this is very useful to be able to do something for free. And so I'll be talking about some of the things, the why I just talked about, how to record, how to editing how to build the website, and publishing and automate everything. So before choosing some option, I know that there are many options for podcasting. If you are a regular user, if you just want to share your word with a podcast, choose some platform for podcasters. There are some free ones like Anchor, for example. But this talk is intended for people who want fully control of their content, of their processes, and this project, this podcast, was made completely open source with free tools and without any cost, including the recording hardware. So if you just want to test and try out new things, just use the tools you already have. So instead of spending a lot on a good microphone, I just use the smartphone. If you are handy on editing sound, you can get a good enough sound for podcasting. It's not a professional quality, and from everything I'm talking about this podcast, this one is the only thing that cannot have a professional grade. Everything else can look very, very professional. About editing, I'm sure there are lots of possibilities. Usually I follow the open source tools as much as possible. So I did everything on Audacity, including filters and some more advanced stuff, including some 3D modulation. So each host was on a different place. If you were listening on stereo headphones, if you were listening on mono, you wouldn't notice anything. There are some people that, in order to give different spatial positions, they just pan to the left or to the right. This is a different thing. If you want to know more about that, there's a link on the presentation. You can check it later. About the website, so the face to the internet, to everyone who is interested in know your product, in this case a podcast, but it could be yourself, it could be any kind of project. I choose to build a website on a tool that could me provide some simple websites, nothing too fancy, but something I could improve on. But in this case, I want something simple that I just could list all episodes, be mobile friendly, and be able to export RSS feeds that is mandatory for podcasts. And then I choose some headless CMS tool. If you know Hugo, if you don't know it, is a tool for generating static HTML from Markdown. So you edit your content, your in this case your episodes, so articles, and I have a theme that does all the front end on all the beautification of the content. And by building a static HTML, I could deploy the website everywhere. And for example, this one was hosted on GitHub Pages. And I'm going to talk about that for me. And you can build everything on this tool. The content would be this kind of plain text in Markdown format. So you can put titles, you can put lists, everything in Markdown. So it's easy enough to edit. You don't need to have an admin interface like a WordPress admin and whatnot. You just edit the things in plain text. And because of that, you don't need a database. You don't need a custom server for deploying your website. You can just deploy HTML, and on top of that, you can get a more secure website. It doesn't have any database for breaching, and you have a stupidly fast content because it's static HTML. In order to deploy the website and make it public, I used GitHub Pages mainly because it's easy. If you are a technological person, if you are a developer, whatnot, this is your daily basis. You can bring your own domain. This is important. And you can have HTTPS included even for this own domain. And you don't need to maintain it. And it's, of course, free. For the media files, they were hosted on the Internet Archive. It's also free and mainly directed for open source and content without copyright. So it was perfect for this project and also free in this case. For the publishing, well, publishing has a lot of work to be done. You have to record it, you have to edit it, you have to create the content, the text content, you have to upload it, build render the video if you want to publish on YouTube and whatnot. So it may have a workflow that gives me too much work. And since I'm a DevOps, I don't like to repeat my work. And if you do it multiple times, it's best to automate it. And so I did it with a script so that would run all the repeated tasks. So in order to automate it, I just built a shell script, and why not? So it did those tasks. It did it automatically. So I'm going to check them fast on this presentation. So in order to build a thumbnail, I just called a Python script. In order to upload for Internet Archive, I use the binary API that they provide us. In order to build the video, another open source tool that is FFmpeg. It's perfect for this. To upload to YouTube, I use the YouTube API, so the Google API. It works okay, although it has some limits. And in order to create a new episode, so the new content, I had to just create some variables with the different code, but it would create the markdown for the Hugo, and so for the final episode page on the website. And yeah, so the automation was just a git commit and the git push to the GitHub. And for automating the actual publishing, I would have a GitHub action. So this is the part that if you are starting on DevOps and you are starting to test and to study the automation part, so the GitLab CI, GitHub Actions, all of this, you can test that for free. And so when you push, you just build the HTML and publishes. And in order to automate auto-publish, so I wanted to publish each new episode every Friday at midnight. And so instead of me just triggering the script at that time, I just scheduled it to run every week at the same time. And that's how I automated it. If you want to check this content, you can check the GitHub. This presentation is there, as well as all the content for the podcast itself. It's everything open source, and you can check his repository on GitHub. Thank you.